Hey, welcome to Exchange. Just an article I pulled up here. This is from a few days ago. Windward's basically a container ship tracking company, basically data collection company. But right now, we have a fifth of the world's container ships actually stuck basically near Chinese ports, which is not surprising with the Shanghai lockdowns and the Chinese kind of COVID scares they're having right now, which they are coming out of right now. But it's definitely affecting shipping supply chain, but all over the world right now. So this is a picture of it. So this is the right side. So February 2022, about 260 vessels. March 470, April 2022, 506 vessels. I mean, it's just absolutely getting worse and worse and worse. This is actually helping out U.S. ports and U.S. supply chains, though. So basically, they're catching up more or less across the board. So basically, as the shipping basically pain points go from the U.S. to China, I mean, it might be a normal thing where basically volatility goes from China to the U.S., U.S. to China. So basically, as China opens up again for the third time now, the shipping actually might go from a mass wave from China to the U.S. We might see a summer surge actually in container shipping in the U.S. More bottlenecks, more supply chain issues where they're waiting longer outside the docks. And then once they're actually offloaded, the actually wait time for the containers themselves actually go up dramatically once they're actually on the ground. So this is what I pull up here. This is the import containers by dwell time, which all this means is time on the ground for containers once they actually are at the actual dock themselves and basically offloaded on the actual ground. Basically, the blue line is all import containers, and then the color lines right here basically by day, or basically by day categories. So this 0 to 4 days, this orange line, for example, and then 9 day plus is the actual yellow line you see in the middle right here. Basically, all it's showing is really from October to about January, February timeframe, it's been a massive decline. It's really all of our gains. Since about February, though, it's been about roughly flat. If anything, it's got a little bit worse, maybe a little upticks there. My big fear, though, is when summer comes around, basically you have this massive surge from China. That's basically as they reopen. All of a sudden, these dwell times massively shoot up. Container ships waiting outside the docks massively shoot up. And all of a sudden, it's basically this massive surge, almost like Black Friday for containers. All of a sudden, they just come in a mass wave. Which, that might be normal too. I mean, the big fear though is hopefully the volatility isn't as bad as it was last October. Hopefully it maybe spikes, but not nearly as high as it was last fall. But again, we'll see. I mean, it's one of those things where it's gonna be very volatile, especially supply chain issues. Now, this could all change though too. I mean, if U.S. enters a major recession, I mean, this won't matter because obviously demand goes almost to zero, and then from that point, we're in uncharted territories as for containers and kind of the supply chain bottlenecks we have right now. Hey, I want to take a quick second to pause real fast. Hey, be sure to sub down below if you like the channel overall, and thank you for support. Now, I did want to end this video on some very good news. So this is right here. This is the World Container Index as of April 21st. And as you can see, it's been dropping. In Shanghai lockdowns, it's been dropping even more from there. So really the peak was about roughly, October, November time frame. Was for the actual peak itself, but I mean it's really been coming down pretty hard, pretty fast. So which we're well above norms. I mean norms is probably about $2,000 to $4,000 or so. As you can see, like we are well above those numbers right here. Even this is actual trade routes from Shanghai, which Shanghai was in the lockdown, coming out of lockdown right now. But even then, prices are dropping. They're well above norms again. But as you can see here, like so for a 40-foot container ship or 40-foot container from Shanghai to LA, right now it's $8,700. LA to New York, which is the green, or Shanghai to New York, which is the green line, $11,200. So obviously, I mean, it's one of those things where, again, as the port of LA was more congested, it actually made sense for based on the wait time alone, to actually go from Shanghai to New York on the East Coast ports, which is why you really see a diversification of shipping routes, just from from the major routes to the actual more subsidiary routes all over the world, both Europe and in the U.S. And across the world. So we're going to see a summer spike again. I think that's pretty evident at this point. The question is, how bad is it going to be? I mean, I think the media is going to take this spike and make some crazy headlines that are kind of fear mongering. But I mean, it's really going to be, I think, expected at this point. The question is, how volatile is it going to be? How high does it actually go for the actual backlogs and everything else too? But again, this is one of those things where, I mean, the big question mark now is really the U.S. economy and demand, especially consumer spending. If that drops off, all of a sudden, demand for goods is going to drop off with it as well, which means demand for overall containers should drop with it as well too, which will actually inadvertently solve the supply chain crisis a little bit by dropping the demand pressures. But then again, we'll see what's going to happen with that. But yeah, definitely let me know your thoughts on this one. It's a very complex topic, but yeah, that's the exchange.